This is my fifth and final video for our shared shelf. In this video I am talking about writing and books and a couple of miscellaneous questions that I wasn't quite sure where else to put them. So the first question is, do you have any advice for future writers or those who seek to pursue a career in writing? I would say read as much as you can, because we all learn from reading how other people do it, and there's so much to admire in literature, so I would say read as much as you can. I would say do your research, so see what else is out there. Is there a book already on the topic that you want to write about? Even if there is, it doesn't mean there isn't space for yours too, but you need to know how yours will be different and how it is, answering a need that hasn't been fulfilled before. I would say keep believing in yourself. Publishing is full of rejection, but think of it this way, that you want someone who is going to be passionate about what you're doing and what you're writing about. And if you don't have that passion, whether it's from an agent or a publisher, they are not the right person for you and to represent your work. So keep believing in yourself. A no is not a dead end, it's just the end of that particular path, and there are always other paths that you can turn to. In terms of concrete advice, I can honestly say that if I hadn't pursued a career in publishing first, I'm not sure that I would be able to be doing what I'm doing right now in terms of being a professional writer. So if you're at a stage in your career where you're trying to decide what to do, you always wanted to be an author, but it just seems an impossible dream, and how do you get there? For me, how I got there was to pursue a career in publishing first. So I was an editor and then an editorial director, and I worked in publishing for over 10 years before I became a full-time writer, and that experience was invaluable. It taught me how to package my ideas, how to analyse my ideas, which were the ideas worth pursuing, which ones actually were not a full book. It might be a great magazine article, but there wasn't actually a book in it. It taught me how to edit my own work. It gave me relationships and contacts. It taught me to understand the publishing industry itself. So if you're at a stage where you're able to consider doing something like that, even if it's just work experience, I would thoroughly recommend it. And of course, no matter what age you are, you can always try a new direction. So that was something that worked for me. I've also been asked, what is your favourite lesser known book as an adult, and what was your favourite book growing up? Growing up, I loved Children of the Dust by Louise Lawrence. It's quite hard for me to think of a lesser known book that I've loved as an adult, because I have really commercial tastes. So I might say Woman on the Edge of Time by Marge Piercy. I also loved The Power by Naomi Alderman, which I think has just come out in America. I loved, this is very commercial, Time Traveller's Wife, and also books by Jodi Picoult. So those are the books that I love, but I know not all of them are lesser known. Olgahotspring asks, how did it feel to unearth a relatively unknown part of US history and bring this painful story to life? I think how it felt was incredibly lucky. I felt so lucky every day that I spent with the girls. So I just feel blessed and honoured and privileged that I got to help them tell their story. And while there were challenges to being British and telling this story, because I, had to travel, I had to, even sort of getting to grips with some of the words sometimes, just use them in a slightly different way than we do in the UK. That was challenging. But to be honest, it wasn't really a barrier. I think for me, what I loved about the story was the universality of it. And it didn't matter that I was British and the Radium Girls were American. We were both women, we were both human, and I could empathise with their story and feel their heartbreak and their grief, and that transcends boundaries and barriers and nationalities, you know, that power to empathise, that connection that I felt with them, that isn't about nationality, that is about humanity. So yeah, I think I felt very lucky, and I just felt a connection with them that made me want to pursue their story and cross that ocean, despite the fact that I was British and they were American. And I feel very lucky about the way that America has embraced this story and the book. People have been so lovely, so welcoming, and again, I just feel lucky. And the final question comes from Andreaforero, who says, where can I get your book but in Spanish, please? Well, I'm delighted to say it is being translated as we speak into Spanish, so it's not going to be out just for a while yet. It should be out sometime in the next 18 months, so perhaps next year. I don't have a publication date yet, but the publisher is an independent publishing house called Capitan Swing. Capitan Swing. So if you check out their website for the Spanish edition, it should be out sometime in the next 18 months. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for reading about the Radium Girls. If any of you are writers, I wish you the best of luck in your career. Keep following your dreams, because they can come true, and I wish you the best of luck with that. And to everyone else, happy reading, happy discovering writers and stories that touch your heart and change your life. Thank you for watching, and thank you for reading The Radium Girls.